Jump right into it, huh? So we're starting off the day with some Ashe Riven. This is a deck I actually really liked even before the Riven buff. I thought this build was super reasonable. The blade fragments that Riven reforges that give extra attack, overwhelm, or quick attack especially work really well with the variety of the things we have here. Our second champion, Ashe, has a pretty low amount of toughness, so giving her quick attack is valuable. Giving Trifarian Gloryseeker, allowing it to kill things inside of combat with its challenger quick attack is very powerful, so it can survive to kill two different things, which is great. Traditionally, this deck has played Sejuani as its second champion, which makes the curve really high. And one of the things that I like about playing Riven in this deck is that it gives you room to still have a reasonable low-end curve while opening up room at the top end to play more big finishers like Captain Farron. And I think while this card was nerfed down to 2 decimates in hand, I think a lot of the games that end with Captain Farron 2 decimates is going to be very, very similar to 2-3. So I don't really expect the needle on this being a powerful closer to move all that much with 1 less decimate. So in terms of interactive elements, Ashe is the Frostbite champion, so we have lots of things that Frostbite in here to let us set their attack to 0 to level her up. And then Ashe's level node says things that are frostbitten can't block. So this gives us this kind of pseudo combo finish in the mid game when we frostbite out a bunch of the enemies and then attack them down. Because we have a bunch of frostbite effects, this deck also gets to play Culling Strike to great effect, kill a unit with 3 power or less. So Culling Strike, in conjunction with things like Ashe and other things that frostbite, basically let us kill any opposing unit incredibly efficiently. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it feels with the both Riven and Farron changes. Yeah, I do think this deck has a pretty reasonable Lee Sin matchup because of all of its various frostbite effects. As someone who works in an earlier time zone, I'm amazed Jeff starts Strict before I do. You know, it's funny. Before the pandemic, I was actually going live at this time, and then with the pandemic, we pushed it back a little bit because when my older son was in kindergarten last year, he was taking the bus to school every day. And the bus would pick him up at 6:45. So I would eat breakfast with him in the morning, take him to the bus stop, and after the bus picked him up, I'd come home and go live right away. I feel like our Anivia matchup's probably not great. We're going to keep 2-3. We're going to mulligan the extra one of these. So this is a control deck with a Harrowing finish. And I imagine this is going to pop back up. Even if it ends up not being good, it's at least going to be popular in the short term because Gluttony was a good new tool for this, turning Anivia into Rekindler. You don't want to keep a ton of X1s in this matchup because they are a Vile Feast deck. It's a good curve. Okay, so our interactive elements in terms of like Culling Strike and freezes aren't particularly good in this matchup because we need to be the beatdown. So having a hand that looks like this is quite good.
Please, I have connections.
Sniper! Thank you for the 17 months, and thank you for the very generous tier 3. Welcome back. Thanks for the support. Hi Tech, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Alright, I guess we just play the 6-2.
Sharpen the blade, secure the kill.
Javama, good morning.
You can see the Demacian border from here.
Break the ties that bind. For glory, you are mine.
I could take or leave this block. The problem with this block is it means Avalanche kills both of these. Avalanche is going to get us at some point, though.
Look out for Reavers.
Okay, Vile Feast here is actually super exciting because it's indicative of the fact that they likely don't have Avalanche right now. Because they have Avalanche, there really isn't a reason to kill that the way they did.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
This is a nice draw, making all of our units a little bit chunkier that we draw from here on out. Sounds great. So definitely not interested in attacking this into these. I'm going to go ahead and Hearthguard here. Pump the deck up. This is a great draw as well, being able to generate some card advantage, exactly what we need to grind through their control deck. Notably, they only have 8 mana this turn with 5 non-spell mana, so they can't Anivia us and they can't Ruination us, so this is like the last turn it's going to be safe to develop before we attack. Vengeance on my Ashe, sure. They denied me a Frostbite? That's not a big deal, though. Again, don't want to attack this into a spider, but happy to bump off a 1-1 to get the 5-5 into play. They're not blocking. How strange. Do they have things in hand that gain them life? And they just don't want to miss out on the life gain, perhaps?
Victory requires a sharp blade.
A storm approaches.
I don't want this trigger to kill my stuff, I don't think. And I think I just open attacks here, hooking the egg. Yeah. Yep. And you can see here, you know, our frostbite effects are starting to pile up now. And this is why this matchup is going to be bad. We're gonna start drawing effects like these that are just very bad here. And not worth their card quality. Basically just gonna have like mid-range versus control deck problems here.
Only the finest.
Pretty sure I gotta develop. Reckoning's actually a really good draw. They'd have ruinated if they had it, right? I think I just gotta, it's gonna suck to get ruinated here or whatever, but I think I need to go wider. I don't think my 3 wide board, even my 4 wide board, honestly, might not be enough. Yeah, the opponent's archetype is definitely one that has made me wish that Runeterra had sideboards. I've definitely been, that's coming back, like stepping away from Magic for a bit and then coming back from it. I definitely, that's the thing I missed the most, is having sideboards. Daddy Farron, along with this attack, might be enough to drag us across the finish line. Did Lux Ashe get any upgrades recently? I think, if you like the Lux Shell, the Zoe Lux deck that's up on my website right now kind of does what that deck does, but a bit better, Dream and Akrima. Yeah, this could be a game where we miss the 3rd Decimate, is very, very true. For sure. I think I'm just dropping Daddy still. Farron gave us a real shot in these matchups, and he's probably not enough anymore.
I bring the storm.
Think we're just decimating. Yeah, all the options kind of suck into a sweeper. Is my pause there trying to figure out, like, okay, what's our best play against Ruination? We're not getting ruinated. Okay, that's great. Okay, well now, since they don't have Sweeper Man up anymore, I do this into this, and then I can attack plus Harsh Winds, they won't have blockers next turn, right?
They're out there. I'll spot them.
Faster than my arrow?
So she's at 2 out of 5, she'll attack and put herself to 3 out of 5, and then this puts us to 5 out of 5, and then she levels and none of their stuff can block. We still have a Decimate left over. We're pretty fortunate this game. Our draw has lined up reasonably well into what their deck is doing. The fact that we have only drawn exactly this Frostbite is like a really big deal. Yes, yeah, the opponent's deck is like the closest thing to like blue-white control in Runeterra. Like a do-nothing. Yeah, I probably should have given something +2 attack here. With this. Okay, so this is gonna let them Harsh Winds 2 of my things. And they can block another and kill another. Yeah, I probably should have, like, Blade Fragmented this. Yeah, they'd have died here if I'd have Blade Fragmented.
Light the signal fires. These stories were true.
Omara Sahar, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Opponent has conceded. Sweet. Yeah, so I definitely messed up not using my Blade Fragment there. Farron ends up dragging us across the finish line even without the third Decimate is nice. They did not find their heals. Like I said, our curve was pretty ideal to start there. The fact that we hit the draw 3 off the Trifarian Assessor is very good. And honestly, the biggest key was, like, if we would have drawn a bunch of Brittle Steels and Harsh Winds and Flash Freezes that game, we would have been in a miserable spot. But thankfully we didn't. I think this matchup's actually okay, so I'm going to play it. The opponent's deck, for those not familiar, is a OTK combo deck that also has a fair backup plan. It can kill you from 20 life in a single attack.
They forced us to choose death or the blade. Lunari, rise!
I will warn you that the last opponent's archetype that we played against also isn't considered particularly good. So it fits the blue-white control ideology in more ways than one. But it's definitely big. I don't do much. I kill all of your things. It is a combo finish in a way. It's kind of like the Anivia deck is kind of like, to make a Magic comparison, it's kind of like blue-white control meets Scape Shift. It's like if blue-white control had a Scape Shift combo finish.
It's our time.
Huh, so this is actually kind of a decision. Do we want to Riven to start reforging the blade? Or do we want to... Yeah, Approach the Second. I didn't play much Standard when Approach was legal, but Approach the Second sounds a really good comparison.
Break the ties that bind.
That one doesn't come to the front of my mind because it's not one that I really engage with. Think I'd rather get Reforges going to start. And this card's really obnoxious in terms of not letting us pressure them because it makes Dragonlings that give them lifesteal. So I think I'm gonna Gloryseeker and try and kill this here. Chrono Trigger, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning.
Temperamental as midnight.
Right, there's our new friendo. So he gets one of 5 weapons when he comes into play.
Face me.
Did I just try and kill this actually? Yeah, I just try and kill this actually.
You cannot hold us
And we
down.
can Culling Strike this Dorko. Culling Striking this as opposed to Culling Striking Aphelios is better because they still play Pale Cascade. They could Pale Cascade a 3-power thing to prevent Culling Strike from working. Bumping it up to 4 attack.
Blessings of the moon.
It's a touch awkward that we haven't had a good window to play Trapper because we played Riven early. This is not making a Dragonling, so I think I just take the pass and bake my mana here. I don't know, Precipic. Reddit really likes the Pale Cascade nerf, so maybe you're wrong. I feel like the Pale Cascade nerf was them trying to nerf this deck without nerfing actual Lee Sin. And it feels like it was a bad way to go about it. It feels like they tried to sidestep addressing the actual problem, which I'm not a fan of. Basically, a bunch of my favorite decks were only competitive because of Pale Cascade's power level. So like now those decks aren't playable anymore. Oh, well now we're definitely playing this, right?
Many tribes under one
Pump up the GM. What if I told you Lee got heavily buffed this patch? Yeah, I would. That's my opinion too. There's a bunch of people that are like nerfing Pale Cascade and Hush hurt Lee Sin, but I think that's incredibly wrong. I think they made the best tool against Lee Sin worse, and Aphelios is a big upgrade to the deck likely. And if Aphelios isn't an upgrade, his weapon is a big upgrade. So I don't really want to attack these into their lifesteal thing, so I think I'm just passing here. Aphelios' champ spells absurdly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because it's 2 spells in 1, and it gives you an Overwhelm card when you need an Overwhelm card, and it's not an Overwhelm card when you don't need one. Okay, so we could set up to combo kill them next turn, right? We have Frostbite, Ashe is a Frostbite, double Frostbite.
A chill in the air.
Sure, yeah, the lifesteal one's good too. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, Sparklefly was a big upgrade for their archetype.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
Yeah, and Aphelios gives them damage-based rule when they need it. Yep. Mize, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Yep. Well, I mean, what do you expect me to do? Not draw 4 cards?
Line up.
Through darkness, I see.
Yeah, I regardless of what happens, I think the next week is going to be great because like there's a lot of things to brew on. But I agree. Once the format settles, things might not be stellar.
Our path is fixed. Now we must walk it.
Well, so I had talked about how I thought this patch was important from understanding what the Runeterra team wants out of their game, and I stand by that. I think what this patch showed us is that it feels to me at least like this patch says we're happy with decks like Lee Sin being the face of our game, and that's not something I'm super excited about, if I'm being completely honest, because like decks like Lee Sin are part of the reason why I bailed out of Magic and looked for another game. And I feel like Runeterra, from a core design perspective, isn't designed in a way to combat decks like Lee Sin effectively because of the lack of sideboards in best of 3. And I really liked Runeterra's multi-deck format, but decks like Lee Sin remove the fun and strategy from Runeterra's multi-deck format because there's no longer what deck do I ban that's good against my lineup. It's I ban the polarizing toxic deck every time, and it's not a decision anymore. Do they have Lee Sin? Ban it. If they don't have Lee Sin, they probably have Fiora. Ban that. There's no thinking about it anymore. There's just 2 or 3 auto ban decks because you don't want to play against them, and there's not that interesting decision point there anymore. Derp! Thank you for the 22 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I agree. To talk about good things, Aphelios is one of my favorite champion designs in the game to date. So, like, the last patch isn't all doom and gloom, but things not related to the new cards were bad in the last patch. Being forced to play burst speed interaction removes a big part of what makes the game cool. Yeah, I think that's a great take, Precipic. Yeah, that is a great take. So I'm actually going to put Blade to Exile on Riven here because I want to Reckoning next turn, and I want her to not die to Reckoning.
The time for talk is over.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
I'm not in danger. This deck that we're playing, does have a good matchup here. I think this deck was close to being tier 1 before this last patch dropped, and I expect this deck with the Riven buff to be the real deal. What am I missing here? Is the eye bugged? Why can't I look at the eye? I have to count. I can do math like a pleb. 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, Aphelios is bugged with the eye. That's unfortunate. Bye, friends. And if they like try and pump this to save it, we'll freeze it in response. This is the card that was nerfed in this deck a long time ago. This deck was 4 mana. This card was 4 mana at one point. It is no longer.
Night flowers upon my blade.
Yeah, they didn't have deny there, which is real good for us.
Spilled paint is just accidental art.
Darkness hides my path.
So we're up to 10. So I think I just Daddy and Icevale here is the plan. And just plan to attack. I could push for lethal with Frostbite opens, but they're a Hush deck still, right? So like trying to push lethal that way and then getting hushed off of my Ashe, making them not block means I don't win. So I think I want to put my 10/10 Farron into play, Frostbite something with this, and then attack with everything. And then they're probably dead through Hush. If they're not dead through Hush, we have Decimates afterwards.
Winter take you. I fight with the dragon's fury. Beware the dragon.
I mean, there are decks that have good Lee Sin matchups. Like, our deck assuredly has a good Lee Sin matchup.
You leave me no recourse.
And I mean, like, we're in no danger of dying to Lee Sin next turn, right? Because our deck is playing. You need Hushes or you need Freezes to be competitive in a matchup like this. That's what it comes down to.
No more hesitation.
And we have Freezes, so you know we get to have an okay matchup. I blocked a number of people that are prominent Runeterra people from that thread Precipic. Every person that told me Fiora Shen was a good deck, but Fiora was a bad card, I just blocked them instead of trying. Because there's no arguing with that. Like, I can't have a discussion with you when you tell me a card's bad and I give you the data that says this deck is good and it's been good for months, and then you're like, well, no, the deck's good, but Fiora's bad because my feels. And it's just like, get out of here. Stop it. Get some help.
At last, a way forward.
Like, I think it's fine to be like, I'm okay with Fiora's play patterns, or I disagree with you that she's toxic, but the idea that, like, you take a deck that's consistently had one of the best win rates, and then you form this mental gymnastic argument that, like, this card is bad, this key card in this deck that's consistently been good is bad, is just very silly. Like, it's okay to disagree on subjective things, like play pattern preferences are fine. But like, just like things like power level are based on the metrics, and like the most important thing in card games, and God, card game players are so weird about this, right? Like, people always want to know, like, well, what cards are good? And it's like, well, cards don't exist in vacuums, right? Like, a card that is good or bad based on the supporting cast around it. So like, just because Fiora needs support cards to help her be good doesn't mean she's bad if there's a bunch of support cards in the format that allow her to be good. Maybe I shouldn't take this trade, and I should, like, Riven into Ashe and then use Ashe with that down the line. They're a PNZ deck, though, so, like, I feel like there's a good chance she just gets Mystic Shotted, so I just want to take my trade there. Yeah, maybe the card's not flexible. Maybe it needs a specific supporting cast to be good. Like, that's a good discussion argument point. My preferred change to Fiora is I would like Fiora to just deal 10 damage when she ultimates. That's what they should do. They should just give you a way to have counterplay against her. Just leave everything else the same, and instead of winning the game outright, she just does 10 Nexus damage. Having her deal 10 Nexus damage means that she still wins a majority of the games she's already winning. It just gives you the option to be able to play around that final thing while still playing small units if you're able to block and trade appropriately. Making that change would allow combat to be meaningful against her as opposed to just not playing units out. Or playing your units out and hoping they don't draw her.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
Yeti's a good draw right away, but I think I want to be more resource efficient and play this here. I don't really want to play Yeti plus Riven.
Never lost a fair game. Dead in their tracks.
Yeah, and like that change lets them still keep all of the animations and everything like that. So from a technical back-end perspective, from an animation perspective, all that could stay the same. You'd still have this big sweet sword animation. It just wouldn't always kill you outright. Yeah, you could even make it deal 10 every time it kills 4 things. Or every time it kills 2 things once leveled up. Like, pick one.
Study into practice.
Yeah, I agree, Precipic. I think it would stop like... It would stop, like, you know, like maybe a third of the kills. And honestly, it might stop more than that in just like, it would change how the game's played fundamentally. So I think I want to Troll Chant minus attack on this and plus health here because it basically heals this. This also means I get to kill their Twisted Fate even if they have a Mystic Shot here. Now they could have Get Excited and that would feel bad. But I think I'm supposed to play around Mystic Shot and give this extra toughness. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Continue without me.
I was born in battle and raised by war.
I'm glad that you said that, Precipic. That you feel like things are more pushed because I'd kind of been feeling that way, but I wasn't sure if it was just the honeymoon phase wearing off or if something had actually changed a little bit. Huh? I guess I'm attacking with this? I'm not, right? I don't really want to attack this into here and lose a bunch of toughness on it. I'm not sure we can beat this Jinx.
Anything else? Stick your lip out. Give you to the Countess. Take that!
Well, like what Precipic is describing there, right? And I think that kind of gets at the core of why Hush is so powerful and people find it so obnoxious, is because, like, Hush is one of the best answers in the game, and it's one of the only answers in the game to a lot of these things. So a big part of Targon's dominance right now, and the reason why Hush is so popular, is because Hush is a must-play card because of a lot of the things that are happening in the game, like Lee Sin and like Fiora and some other threats as well. So, like, they either need to put those type of silence effects in more regions or frostbite style effects in more regions, or they need to scale back the power level a little bit, so that way things aren't, oh, this needs to get answered or I die. Those kind of go fish moments we talk about in Magic too, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, and the game comes down to, I play this threat, do you have the answer? You say go fish, you lose.
Stacking the odds.
I think we're about to get beat up here, chap.
We fight for one friend.
Because this is gonna level Xer, they're gonna have level Jinx and level Twisted Fate. Yeah, we're super into multiple champions.
No! We must start over.
It definitely press a pick. It feels like it makes me miss sideboards is what it makes me miss. Like in Magic, when those things happen, at least you can pivot your deck in a post-board game to have you be more likely to be able to play Go Fish. Morning Owl. Hey Kandu, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Mono, Twisted Fate, SI. So I wonder if they're a go hard deck and they're just eschewing the second champion. Yeah, I mean, they could definitely print Hush style answers into a wider range of regions. But I don't know that like I agree with the general community perception that Hush is kind of an unfun card and it was a good nerf. Like I agree with that. I agree with the take that Hush is kind of like, it feels bad to have your big play get hushed. But like, I'd argue it feels worse to die to Lee Sin. Huh? I think I'm just trying to trade this here. If they're a go hard deck, this is kind of risky. It could be right. Just Culling Strike this. There's also merit to saving Culling Strike against their Twisted Fate deck for later. Yeah, it's a race. That's a race to the bottom is a good way to phrase it, Hudox.
Let's get to it. Gotcha.
That's a great way to articulate it. Don't make answers better, make threats worse, and make answers more modular. Yes, I like that. That is a lovely way to put it.
These stories were true.
That would be my preferred game design direction. Like, for example, Aphelios is a great champion design and card design because of how modular it is. Yeah, that's why I like Hush. I like Hush because it's a modular card. Or not, did I say Hush? Aphelios. Words. We just read Hush in chat. That's why Aphelios this week, because it's a modular card that's flexible. It gives you lots of meaningful choices. More Aphelios is less Lee Sin's. If we don't draw anything useful, next turn might just be a Trifarian Assessor for 1. This is probably fine. Okie doke. I suppose if they Twisted Fate, I Culling Strike them.
I'm always up for a round or two.
Do I Culling Strike them this turn? Yeah, let's just do this.
The finest serve.
That's cute. Oh, that gets bigger off Jagged Taskmaster too. That's really cute.
Over there.
I don't think I can afford to take a giant hit here. I think I need to give this up as a game 3. I can't tripping this for 1 again. Feels bad. We do this, and then attack. They'll have a free block here, but we can get in with these other ones. Okay, that's adorable. Man, are we dead? I think we might be dead, chat. Definitely can't attack into that. Man, I was really hoping to draw another 5-power thing to draw with this turn.
Few earn the right to call themselves Trifarian.
It's mini Harrowing. That's an interesting way to put it. It definitely kind of feels that way.
Dead don't need riches.
Let's see what you've got.
It's give vulnerable, so it doesn't... Doesn't give you things vulnerable permanently. But we're still going to 2 here, right? Because this is going to hit us here. Hey, Gendy, thank you for the 2 entire years of support. That's a long time. Thanks for keeping me around. I only need a little bit more reach to kill us here. Yep. 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 One over lethal. The new Plunder Monkey card was really good, huh? I gave them six idiots there. I did decide to increase the price for Runeterra deck submissions. Splitting my time between Magic and Runeterra means I'm not going to be able to get through $10 submissions, so is back to $25 or a tier 3 sub. I'm planning to do 2 decks a day. Yeah, the current Magic format's super reasonable.
Just a moment.
I've enjoyed my time there so far. I think I just open attacks. Actually, do I? Now let's play Riven. I'm gonna take my 5 ball. guess this is a good reason to attack first. I think Captain Farron and Icevale are fine examples of must answer threats.
Break the ties that bind.
I think these are good examples of healthy finishers. I actually like Star Shaping Precipic. I disagree with your statement that you dislike Targon's identity. I actually think Targon's identity is fine. I think a lot of the issues surrounding Targon come back to the fact that Hush is a must-play style of effect right now. Targon's identity is healing and no like direct damage type thing. Although I guess Aphelios is kind of blending that line a little bit, huh? He's a departure from the idea that they don't do that.
All the world on one arrow.
Yeah, I guess Meteor Shower did that in a really slow way. The speed at which Meteor Shower did that is important. It has direct damage, but slow and narrow. Yeah, that's what they do. The fact that Targon doesn't really have quick speed interaction is a big thing.
As the arrow flies, face me.
The cost of war.
Back, heretic.
I don't think that's true, Precipic. Like there's a bunch of good aggro decks.
As darkness falls, the moon rises.
Yeah, exactly that. Targon is everywhere, and aggro is still great. Is an accurate summation of events.
We chart our path by the stars.
Our strength is yours.
Hunox, to answer your question, I said things like Captain Farron and Icevale are good finishers. Appropriately costed.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty sparkle fly.
How does Lee do versus aggro? My understanding is that current iterations of Lee are reasonable against aggro. It's the eye of the dragon, it's the beating of aggro, it's the Yeah, that's a good thought too. Lee's front side is just good against aggro in general, is accurate. Like having a decently statted challenger unit. Alright, I think we're just playing Gloryseeker into Assessor here. I can even give this +2 attack to draw a 4th card.
What once was two, now is one.
Siblings once were inseparable.
You earn the right to call themselves Trifarian.
Avarosans, stand together.
Think I want to trade this. This is an overwhelm fragment, unfortunately. So I can't give this quick attack.
There's still much to answer for.
So they're gonna get to kill Ashe here with this, but I think that's fine. We're basically trading Ashe for both halves of the sister here. It's a decent rate for us. And like we're geared to be in a spot where this game's gonna go long, and like this is gonna be my second Hearthguard, making all my units bigger, and I've got 2 Daddy Farrons lined up already. Yeah, we're not gonna run out of gas. We're ahead on board, and we're not gonna run out of cards in hand anytime soon. That is a card that doesn't play to the board this turn, really.
We fight for one
Which is an interesting play when they're behind on board. Queens! Thank you for the 37 months and for the very generous tier 2. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Good morning. Black Spear. Interesting. Oh, you're right. This doesn't actually say landmark on it like the rest of them. You know, I thought that was just a thing on the spoiler, but you're right. It totally just doesn't say landmark on it. I think we're just playing Daddy and then smashing. And then you can see here, the Farron buff coming in clutch for us. Only generating 2 decimates means that our hand doesn't get filled up here. Alright, they're borrowing some of our frostbites. Yeah, Aphelios Messenger with no other 2-drops to your deck is really good. For sure. And again, like, this is a game where neither of us are running out of cards anytime soon, but I'm super far ahead on board. So that board presence being way more important here than the number of cards that we both have access to at the moment. Because we're both just spending all of our mana every turn, so whoever's ahead on board is the most important metric to look at.
Reach out, Aphelios.
So we'll go my 7/3 2-drop into my 9/9 8-drop this turn. This one's overwhelmed too, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm not even sure they can beat what's on board, much less what's going on in our hand. So the Mobilytics website is currently bugged for me for people looking for this deck list. Why not kill them with Decimate this turn? Because they're a life gain deck, chat. They're a star-shaping deck. And spending my mana casting Decimates rather than developing my board, that's why I'm not killing them with Decimates this turn. Yeah, and I don't have to play around Atrocity here either, right?
Severin. Together, brother, we will make death holy.
Alright, now I have to freeze this, right? This level up animation is very good. For sure. Okay, we've had first Farrons, but what about second Farrons? Yikes. Wait, they're dead, right? Yeah, they're dead. Okay.
Face me.
These are lethal. They have 1. They can't do anything for 1, right? They can have a copy of Go Hard here. Shout out to the Daddy Farron buff for making me not burn cards that game. That's true. They could have had Moon Silver to cost reduce Guiding Touch. Would have been no. That is accurate. Thanks everybody for joining us this morning, by the way. I know it's a little bit earlier than I have been. For my Runeterra regulars or new folks that just enjoy this content, my Runeterra time slot moving forward is going to be this 7 a.m. Central to 10 a.m. Central. Planning to do a few hours every weekday morning. It's currently 8 a.m. Central for reference, so I've been live for about an hour already. Honestly, this hand's just great, right? Yeah, I imagine this is a pretty good time slot for people in the EU. And then if you're also into Magic, my plan is to do a few hours of Magic following a few hours of Runeterra. And then we're going to wrap up today with some more God of Boy. Dad of Boy? Dad of Boy? Is that the meme name? Dad of Boy? Mutter Yeet, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning. So we'll bank some spell mana here. We'll play a Trapper next turn. Getting Dub's Hearthguard early is really good to match up like this that's likely to go long. You see much Lee Sin this patch. Just one so far today. I imagine even if Lee Sin ends up getting a net buff from these changes, it'll be a second before it becomes super popular. Like this is basically a new format, right? Like, people are trying new things. There's, and to their credit, like, Riot has shown that they're very good at changing the format and giving us lots of new things to try with very small card injections. So, like, both the KDA card drop and this one, I think, really highlights one of their strengths as a designer in their designers have in that, like, how many new things there are to try with just like a handful of new cards. I think they've done an excellent job of that so far in my time playing Runeterra. Didn't draw the Yeti right away. Never lucky. Rats. That's fine. We can Icevale plus Culling Strike something this turn. Even if they don't deploy Lee Sin, we could just, or Lee Sin, Twisted Fate, we could just Culling Strike Elise. Hey, if we don't draw, so now that we didn't draw the Yeti as our top card, we actually want to wait another turn to draw it, because if we don't draw the Yeti next turn, it'll be a 6/6 with the Hearthguard. So the fact that we missed it this turn actually makes me hope it's the last card, because next turn I'm pretty committed to playing one of these as a 5. So I think I'm actually going to block and then Culling Strike here, rather than let this eat this. I could be right to save this for Twisted Fate. That could be a little bit aggressive use of that on my part there. If they play in level Twisted Fate's kind of scary.
I've whipped up something special.
Alright, so this is gonna die to a Go Hard here, I assume. Morning, Crack Pipe.
They walked around.
The Azor.
You have killed my 5/5 that pumped everything else. Yep. So that's a very tempo positive exchange for us. They spent 7 mana killing my 5-drop. You love to see it. Yeah. Well, the units in our deck are going to be thick, chat. They're going to be thick. Beansy, it did go through. Thank you for the tip. I almost missed that. I did miss that. It was 8 minutes ago. I apologize.
Our strength is yours.
That will probably be up tomorrow. I want to play more Soul Tide today, because I think that's the deck I'm playing on Saturday.
I don't change fate, but I can see it.
I can see it. And no skinny units here, chat. Only thick mamma jammas. Woo! Daddy's home.
One better.
We playing bilge rules, son?
Winter, take you.
If they don't open on Ruination next turn, I get to drop Trifarian Assessor and feel real good about things.
Be nothing left when I'm done.
Our banner will lead the way.
Definitely hooking this keg rather than trading this for a 2/2.
Clear off. Where you going?
And like, we've played all 3 Hearthguards this game, so like, if we get to play this and draw 3 cards, and all of our things are +3/+3, have to imagine. Well, that's certainly a series of plays. Change of plans. Yeah. This means they're not ruinating me, right?
Only the finest serve.
Glass half full.
Ye started without me.
When will I find peace?
Give a vengeance? Oh no, not go hard. I guess we could be getting packed here. If we get packed, we could be in trouble. That was their second. They could play third plus pack me. Voice lines or Shrumio or data mines. That means we know what champions are going to be in there. Is that what you're telling me? We know the champions. All right, I'm gonna elect to not play around Ruination because I feel like they wouldn't have burble fished me so hard if they were gonna do that. Pretty sure I don't want them to draw 2 here, so I prefer not to get packed. Yep, I agree. I think it's much more likely they packed it or an 8. Yep. Oh, that was their third go hard that they played. I didn't realize that they already had pack. That's awkward. I thought they needed to play one more go hard. Awk.
Violence to end violence. I know what lurks.
That card's still very good at 5, turns out.
Nest, hatch, feed.
Arsh wins. Brittle Steel will do.
Skitter out from the darkness. You will not break me.
Daddy's home. Blessed be the daddy, for he is good. Should have played around Dew Beast. Should have played around Dew Beast. Yikes. Yeah, saving the Ashe was probably, or the Riven was probably bad there, because they have a bunch of deal ones in their deck anyways. I'm probably supposed to go to 3 in that instance. Ionia Braum. I'm gonna be greedy and keep both these Hearthguards. My deck is convinced that we want Troll Chant. Alright, deck. It's what you really want, I guess we can do it. Culling Strike's a great draw against the Braum deck. Hey, thanks for the 57 months, Philly. That's a real long time. Welcome back. Yeah, I think they're almost assuredly playing the new Give Braum 2/2.
The dark beckons. Night falls.
I think we're just burning mana here. Joke's on you, opponent. I didn't have anything I could play.
Braum is on the job.
Yup. Well, only puts a thing that costs 3 or less into play, right? You can't put Braum into play off of this at least. Nice, nice. They're gonna get a turn with Braum. I don't think I can skip playing a Hearthguard this turn with so many 5s in my hand. So, like, they're gonna get some damage marked on this. And that's fine. This turn I get to go. Second Hearthguard plus Culling with my 2 bang spell mana. So this lines up real well.
We fight for one Freljord.
Easiest round end of my life. Makes up for the mana we burned on turn 3 easily.
Good luck. Have fun.
Good luck. Have fun. Playing your Braum deck against my triple culling deck is it's a little unfortunate for them. One thing here that happened to our opponent that's worth mentioning that I wish Runeterra was a little better about. Our opponent had retreated a Braum to their hand earlier, and then apparently they played a different Braum out of their hand. So we know they still have this other Braum here. It would be nice if this did like Arena does, where if you have 2 copies of a card and your opponent knows about one of them, it always plays the known copy out of your hand.
Need just a moment.
Yeah, I agree with Arrow. The cycle of that cycle is very good in general. I like it. I like it a lot. The problem with that is the cards can be modified in hand. You're right that there are super tiny edge cases where that's the case, but you shouldn't make your interface to work to the common edge case. You should account for the common edge case in what your interface is doing, but the edge case shouldn't dictate what your average case scenario looks like. So the fact that those edge cases exist isn't a good reason to not have a good quality of life feature. It means your quality of life feature should account for that edge case when it occurs. Yes, that would also be an appropriate solution. Have the client show you like an eye in your hand like Arena does, which cards your opponent knows about. It's a really big Braum, chat.
Master.
So the Captain Farron buff coming in clutch here again. Generating 2 decimates instead of 3, so this way we don't burn our card we draw this turn.
My shield is my sword. Show me your best. Look how we have grown. The end. King of Trolls coming through.
Unfortunately, the buff not going to be enough to stop us from burning a card next turn. I think I just want to play a second 10-10 out here. And then we'll just be ready to open attacks here.
What will you have?
A mug of your warmest milk, my friend.
That's sad. Braum just has a Battle Fury.
You are safe with Braum. Stand behind Braum.
Let's talk about your dad.
All right, and they're down to 1. Giving Braum lifelink with the spirit refuge is pretty cute. You've given Braum Overwhelm. As you will. Freedom Birds, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning.
One troll to rule them all.
Tekamasu, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Okay, do they also have a second Spirit Refuge? If they have second Spirit Refuge here, they could be in an okay spot.
Good luck. Have fun. This is gonna be fun.
I know a challenge when I see one.
All right. Maybe Tobias, I thought about going to 2 and just saying, hey, you can't have combat tricks, but like with the double Troll Chant in my hand, I feel like there's not really much risk there. Like I'm still gonna get to Axe post combat 2. Sure, it plays around them having refuge if I just go to 2. I don't know. I feel like if they have refuge, they're supposed to do it on their open attacks there, right? Like a good player is gonna open on it. If they're assuming their attack's not lethal, a good player opens on it there. I like this build. I don't know that I really have any changes I would make. Maybe a second Reckoning could be okay. Aphelios, with a lot of these Aphelios decks that people are playing right now, have a lot of really tiny units in them. And I could definitely see that, like, especially ran into a few people playing like Messenger Aphelios and stuff like that. Reckoning's like really good in those style of matchups. So maybe you want to fit in another copy of that effect. Brittle Steel's been a little whatever. I don't know that I really feel like that effect is necessary. I could see trimming that. The Captain Farron change, we were joking and calling it a buff in some of those games, and really, that's just what it is. It's just kind of different. So, like, there are situations where you miss that 9th to 12th point of damage on the axes, but I honestly think the games where you miss that damage are fewer than the games where this card threatens to overfill your hand, especially in our Trifarian Assessor deck, where we're frequently drawing lots of extra cards. Like, something that happened very commonly in this deck is you'd Assessor, draw, 3 to 5 cards, and then your Farron would overfill your hand and you weren't getting 3 axes, then you were burning your next card for the turn anyways. So in this deck especially, the Farron change is pretty whatever, and the card's still great at the top end. The Riven buff didn't really come up. Like, this deck isn't all in on the Reforge plan. It's only playing Riven as its only Reforge card, and perhaps because Blade Squire's no longer embarrassing with the second point of power, you could test working that in here, but I don't know. I really don't like this more than any of the other cheap units that we're playing. Like, I think Omen Hawk's probably still just better than Blade Squire in this deck. So, Riven still good. Daddy Farron still excellent. Happy with what this list is doing for sure.